Hello and a pleasant day to everyone. So today we're gonna have a discussion about the boundaries of good price, which is the first part of the book entitled Pricing Strategy, written by Tim J. Smith. So before we start with the discussion, allow me to introduce myself first. I am Charlene Z. Amnas, a proud marketing student from University of Rizal System Rodriguez Campus. I am 21 years old and my motto in life is never treat a failure as a misfortune event of your life. Serve it as your motivation and a teacher that makes you learn how to survive. So let us now proceed to our discussion. So these are the questions to be answered by the first part of this book. The first one is, who is involved in pricing decisions? Why is pricing so important to the health of a firm? Can firms influence their pricing power? What is the nature of a good price? How relevant are marginal cost and consumer surplus in setting a good price? How should the comparable alternatives on the market influence the pricing of a product? How can exchange value models be used to set prices? And the last one is stretch questions. How are exchange value models related to the market segments? Part 1 of this book covers 5 chapters. I'll be the one to talk about chapter 1 and the other chapter will be discussed by the other reporter. So now let us talk about boundaries of a good price. So let's start off with the importance of price. The importance of setting the right price cannot be understated. Pricing directly affects the profits of a firm. Even for non-profit institution, pricing decisions affects the resources of the firm and its ability to serve its constituents. For everyone involved, the cost of pricing errors are weighty. Whether the price is too high or too low, pricing errors destroy profits. Pricing decisions made hastily without sufficient research, analysis, and strategic evaluation can lead the marketing organization to lose revenue. Prices set too low may mean the company is missing out on additional profits that could be earned if the target market is willing to spend more to acquire the product. Additionally, attempts to raise an initially low-priced product to a higher price may be met by customer resistance as they may feel the marketer is attempting to take advantage of its customers. So now let's move on to cross-functional. Due to the high importance of pricing, executives will place a huge emphasis on getting pricing decisions right. From an organizational viewpoint, pricing decisions are cross-functional challenge fraught with discord. Finance, sales and marketing, and even operations executives will each be in a position to contribute to pricing decisions. At this point, different executives needs to work together in order to have an appropriate pricing decisions. It is very important for them to make the right decision to prevent any conflicts during the operation of their company. Next is impacting profit. To demonstrate the importance of price, consider the standard profit equation of a firm where this symbol right here is used to denote profit. Q denotes quantity sold, P denotes price, V denotes variable cost, and F denotes for fixed cost. So this equation right here is used to get the profit of the company by multiplying the quantity sold to the price minus variable cost and subtracting it to the fixed cost. To make an accurate pricing decisions, it is consistently considered that variable cost is the true marginal cost to produce related to the decision at hand. Many times when firms calculate variable cost, they actually calculate average unit cost. Average unit costs are not variable cost because they include allocated overhead and other forms of fixed cost in their calculation. As such, average unit cost will decrease if volumes increases, and average unit cost will increase if volume decreases. So let us now analyze the table here. It says profit levers. Profit levers for revenue include price of the product or services, price of options and bundled or unbundled services, volume or quantity, volume or value proposition, and market perception. So now yield 5% higher profits. If the firm were to invest in better marketing to drive volumes up by 1%, it would still improve profits by only 6%. In contrast, increasing prices by 1% either through changes in list prices or reductions in discounts improves profit by a 10%. In comparison to any other variable under management, price has a larger and more immediate impact on profit than all other levers. The results of this hypothetical firm are not unique. However, the impact of price on the firm is a double-edged sword. Just as a small improvement in price delivers a large increase in profits, a small degradation in price is highly damaging to profits. And now let's proceed to influencing price capture. As the executive level attention given to pricing indicates and the example profit lever analysis suggests, getting the price right has a significant impact on the firm. Yet, these observations only underscore the challenge. Now, recalling the price is the value that the firm captures in a mutually beneficial exchange with its customers. They discovered that the right price is often not a single number, but rather a range of potential points that benefits both the customer and the firm. While some points are more beneficial to the firm and others are more beneficial to its customers, any point within this range will mutually benefit both the firm and its customers. Moreover, the price that a firm gets in the exchange is somewhat under its own influence. Now let's talk about the art and science of pricing. Pricing is a quantitative field with a direct impact on profitability. However, as the negotiation experiments reveal, pricing is equally a qualitative field where the actions of the firm affect the price that they can achieve. Good pricing requires a tight connection between quantitative and qualitative insights. It usually needs a long-term and well-handled research to acquire good pricing. That's why we have here the science of pricing. The science of pricing refers to the act of gathering information, conducting quantitative analysis, and revealing an accurate understanding of the range of prices likely to yield positive results. Pricing data, like any other set of information that influences executive decisions, is rarely perfectly clear. There are two commonly used approaches to determine price sensitivity. Asking current and potential customers and observing customer behavior. Directly asking your customer to determine their response to pricing changes will not yield a complete picture. Customers are often unwilling or unable to identify specific factors in buying decisions. It is important to remember that customers are not a monolithic group to consider when setting pricing policy. Well, some customers will value the product more than others, right? And now let's proceed to the art of pricing. It refers to the ability to influence consumer price acceptance, adapt pricing structures to shift the competitive playing field, and align pricing strategy to the competitive strategy, marketing strategy, and industrial policy. While it usually requires an understanding of consumer behavior and the influence of features embedded within the product, the perception of value, and the expectation of customers and the price structure itself. Well, it also requires that pricing strategy support the firm's marketing strategy in light of the overall competitive and industrial environment of the market. Now let's move on to exchange value models. Exchange value models accepting the right price lies within some range shifts the challenge of pricing to identifying the boundaries of a good price. Exchange value models quantify the price boundaries. Knowing the boundaries of a good price narrows pricing discussions to a reasonable range of potential price points. While using exchange value models to manage pricing decisions shifts pricing challenge from the position of managing internal corporate politics or copying historic practices that may have little bearing on the challenge at hand, to one of focusing on the value created and the firm's ability to capture its fair share of that value. Two sets of boundaries are uncovered from exchange value models: the extreme boundaries and the narrower boundaries, which will be discussed by the next reporter. Now let's talk about the extreme boundaries. At this kind of boundaries, the price should lie between the marginal cost to produce and the full consumer utility. It is usually defined as the range of acceptable prices which no rational buyer or seller would ever transact. So any transactions outside these extremes would leave the seller or buyer worse off after the transaction than before. And therefore, it cannot be expected to occur between rational buyers and sellers. Marginal cost. Marginal cost define the extreme lower boundary. Marginal cost constitute the seller's bottom line. Any price below marginal cost leaves the seller worse off than it would have been without the transaction. Any price above it leaves the seller better off. At times, sellers may choose to price very near marginal cost for tactical price purposes, but in general, sellers will seek to profit from their transaction. Failure to profit from transactions removes any motivation to participate in trade. Hence, executives cannot be expected to price at this level. Marginal costs are simply a lower boundary on prices. They provide little guidance to what the price should be outside of stating that the price should not be below this level. Importantly, internal cost accounting considerations of marginal cost fail to incorporate the value that the product delivers to the customers. So now let's move on to the next topic. Consumer utility defines the extreme upper boundary. If marginal costs are the seller's bottom line, customer utility is the buyer's bottom line. The customer utility is the value a customer gains from having the product. All customers would be worse off after a transaction if they paid more for the product than they gained in utility. And they would be better off if they paid less for the product than they gained in utility. So the value that buyers place on a product is the utility that they derive from the product. The consumer surplus is the difference between the overall customer utility and the transaction price. So long as the consumer surplus is positive, customers will value the product. Customers gain utility from a product directly from the benefits that the product delivers. That's why these benefits have been categorized into four fundamental types. The first one is the form utility. It derives directly from the intrinsic properties of the product itself, such as the value that customers place on extending their lives with a stent, the enjoyment that customers experience when drinking a tasty beverage, or the production value of a turbine to an electricity merchant generator. The next one is place utility. It derives from the ability to acquire the product in a desired location, such as having the stand available at a nearby hospital, drinking the beverage at a local cave, or receiving the turbine at the merchant generator's power plant. The third one is the time utility. It derives from the ability to access the product at a convenient moment, such as receiving the stent when coronary heart disease has been detected, drinking the beverage when thirsty, or getting the turbine at the right time in the construction process of the merchant generator's power plant. And the last but not least is the ownership utility. It is gained from possessing the rights to the value of the product even if the possession is never actually taken. Let's say, for example, the value of insurance coverage that would pay for the implant of the stent if needed. The value of holding a beverage which can either be drunk or resold. Or the value of holding rights to a turbine to be delivered in the future. So those are the four fundamental types of benefits. Now let's proceed to marginal cost and customer utility are the extremes. Executives needs a tighter set of boundaries than those provided by marginal cost and customer utility for pricing decisions. Even reducing the dispersion of potential prices to a single factor of 10 would be far more useful than the developed by considering the extreme boundaries alone. Now, for a revolutionary product, executives may accept reluctantly a somewhat broad range of a factor of 10, but will give no credence to a method that leaves 3 orders of magnitude in uncertainty. For more revolutionary products, they are likely to demand pricing guidance that narrows the range to within a few percentage points. So that is all the topic that was assigned to me, and the other content of this chapter will be discussed by the next reporter. So thank you for watching and have a good day.